Hello, everybody. Welcome to another video from the Powerbomb Project. I am one of your hosts, Daniel, joined by my other two hosts.
It's Furman.
Okay, it's Chris.
And today we're going to be talking about WrestleDream. I thought this was a great show. I don't think it was quite on the same. I mean, here's the thing. I thought it was almost on the same exact level as All Out. But I think All Out slightly edges WrestleDream. So, I will say it was a great show, though, and I'm excited to talk about it. What do you guys think about this show before we dive right in?
To me, it was very fun. It was. I probably the same opinion as you that it was comparable or lower, a little bit lower, maybe comparable to All Out. But I think it was super fun because it had a lot of great matches and just matches that we not expect and some great moments too.
And yep, I'm basically the same way too. It was really solid overall, but I think we all know what we're here to discuss at the end of the review. Let's be real here. The one thing that everyone's talking about.
As a matter of fact, we're going to have timestamps in the description below. And you know what? Let's talk about that first. Let's knock out the elephant in the goddamn room. Edge is all elite. And yeah, I'm pretty hyped about that. And, I thought he was going to retire. I thought his match with Sheamus was it. But he's actually, he got some more work to do. And it's with his best friend. And man, if I thought about the way Edge's career should end, even though he is a WWE lifer, according to many, loyalty is the main thing, right? And you know who he's been loyal to even longer than WWE? His best friend, Christian Cage. Ending his career with his best friend is the right way. So, if people want to call him a sellout, call him a traitor, really think about what you're saying. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, and there's actually more interesting thing that I really like. I was watching, and we watched, and after the whole show, we were excited. I was watching the interview with him, and it was super interesting because saying that he's full time, not part time, full time. That's probably the biggest thing right there to see that he's actually a full time guy. He's gonna be there every single show, so that's gonna be very interesting to see. And he's saying that he's just way happier there. He's happier than he's been ever. He's been ever in the other company. He's been super happy, cheerful. He looks excited. He's more excited than I've seen him in a long time. So I kind of love to see this type of Edge being just so excited and just imagining the matches that can happen. That's just that's what Edge says is a buffet for him. So I'm excited to see more from Edge.
And same here, dude. Just the amount of content we're gonna get. It sucks that CM Punk left the way he did, but I think Edge is definitely gonna fill that void in AEW as of right now. But we'll see how long Edge lasts, and it's cool that he's going full time too. So there's potential for like more opponents in outside of Christian Cage.
And already, after one promo on Wednesday, him and his program is the best thing going on in the entire company. What a surprise!
That's pretty funny too.
Now, yeah, I will say it. I think Edge is going to make the company way better. They need that big player. And yeah, it looks like they got that right now in Edge. And people are going to say, this is only going to last a year or two till he retires. Okay. I'll enjoy the time I have then. Because Edge is awesome. And he deserves to go out the way he wants to go out. So, that's all I can really say. Now, let's talk about WrestleDream. So, first we had this 0 hour. And first we have the 8-person mixed tag. We got Kojima, Keith Lee, Athena, Billy Starks versus Shane Taylor Promotions, Tamonte, and Mercedes Martinez. I almost said Mercedes Moné, but it's Mercedes Martinez. So, I mean, let's just be straightforward. This match was very short. Didn't really get the opportunity to do much. Kojima got the win with a few lariats. But yeah, it just wasn't anything special. And if anything, it's just kind of forgettable. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 10. Just a very random match to book. And honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if a goddamn AI booked this match and choreography the entire match. That's just how bland and pathetic this match is.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna be short that it's a 3. That's all I'm gonna say.
It's a 3-2. This shit sucked. It was 5 minutes. Nobody wanted this bullshit. Waste of time.
AI ass booking. Now, let's continue to the next match on this goddamn 0 hour. Claudio Castagnoli versus Josh Barnett. It was more of a technical, slower paced match, but it was solid. It was good stuff. You got some grappling and wrestling and all that sort of stuff. The ending felt a little bit to me, but it's whatever. Overall, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. I will say AEW 0 hours. I wish they were only 1 or 2 matches on the 0 hour rather than like 4 matches because, the 0 hour is supposed to just get people like seated in, prepared. But the 0 hour practically just feels like a 5th hour added to this 4-hour pay-per-view to make it 5 hours. That's just what the 0 hour really feels like to me.
Yeah, that's true. The do say that this is pretty true with how that is going down right now. It's kind of weird. It should be just maybe 1 match, 2 matches, kind of like what WWE sometimes does.
Yeah, same here, honestly, dude. It's just kind of
Yeah. So, ready to move on
Yeah.
to the next match?
Yeah.
All right. Another squash match. Luchasaurus versus Nick Wayne. At first, I was kind of positive about it, but then saying on it, I was like, wait, what the fuck really happened in this match? Nick Wayne just got his ass kicked. I'm giving this a 6. It was fine for what it was.
Yeah, it's the same thing that he got his ass beat up brutally, and I didn't expect anything less than it was going to be just an ass whooping. That's all I'm going to say. And I'm dumb until I forgot that the Josh Barnett, I still say it was a 7, and the it was a tribute match to Tony Nonoki too, so that was interesting too. But back to the Luchasaurus, I knew it was a squash match, so I'm going to give this a 5.
Yeah, I think I gave this actual 7, but I mean, honestly, it's just a glorified, jobber match. I mean, it's cool. Nick Wayne got his moment or whatever, but Luchasaurus kicked ass. But it wasn't really necessary. This could have just been on Rampage or whatever. So I'll just give it a 5. It was fun, but nothing like memorable.
Another match that isn't anything too crazy. The Acclaim versus TMDK. Decent match, but if you missed it, no biggie. Overall, I'm going to give this a 6.5 out of 10. I do have a problem with the Acclaim right now. I feel like, number one, I feel like Warner Bros. Discovery is trying to, tune them down or tone them down. And if you listen to some of the bars, they're a bit more PG and they're not as memorable as what the bars once were. And another thing, I'm kind of annoyed that they took the belt off of House of Black just to give it to the Acclaim, and for the Acclaim to just have these fuck all title defenses that doesn't really mean shit. Like when you look at the House of Black reign, they had matches with the Elite. They won the titles by beating the Elite. Think about that for a second. And then they also had a great title defense against CMFTR. They had story stuff involving the Acclaim. So my question is, why couldn't we continue that for a bit longer? And I understand Malachi and Buddy, they got injured at All Out, or not All Out, at All In. But at the same time, I just felt like we ended a great title reign. Right, the three guys that were actually making the belts a bit more prestigious. Then we put it on guys to basically get belts that scissor and don't mean shit. Overall, I'm just going to give this a 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I do the same thing, 6.5. And it's true that I feel like that it's a dumb decision for them to put the Acclaimed on this type of pedestal. To me, like to me, it should have been another. It should be still House of Black. And if it's not House of Black, it should be Dark Order. I think Dark Order is probably one of the better trios in this company. I think House of Black has so much more fun. That's all I'm going to say about this. I say 6.5 for me.
And yeah, it was probably the best match out of the first four opening, but again, it's just not necessary. It's kind of whatever. And outside of like the funny uh, diss against Slapjack or whatever he used to be called out of that group,
Shane Hayes, yeah, he used to be Slapjack.
yeah, but I'll say that that's probably like the best part of the match, and that doesn't even count. That was just like introduction. So, you know what? I think a 6 is too high. I'm gonna give him another 5.
All right. Now we finally get to the main show. ROH Tag Team Championship handicap match. MJF defense against the Righteous. Because Adam Cole is injured, quote unquote. Not to be one of those wrestling fans, but I don't buy it. I don't fucking buy it. If it's real, then okay. I apologize. But I ain't believing this bullshit that Adam Cole is really hurt. I think he's working it here. Or he might have gotten a sprain and they're capping about how long he's going to be out. Either way, this feels off. And we get to this match. It was fun for what it was worth. MJF successfully beat the two jabronis on by himself. And yeah, it was entertaining. But it was nothing too crazy. And if you compare it to all the matches MJF has had on pay-per-view this year, this is easily the least eventful one. But overall, I'm going to give this a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that much. I felt like the Righteous would lose, even if because I just felt like they're gonna push MGF all the way to the stratosphere. So I'm gonna just give this a 7.5.
And yeah, I think I'm gonna give it an 8 just for the fact that it was. Honestly, I knew he wasn't gonna win, but it was probably just this fun, stupid match. Just MJF promising the crowd that he was gonna shove that dude's head up his ass with his tag team partner, and him doing a body slam was, and he actually managed to do that. So it was fun. It was stupid, but good opener. So I'll give it 8 out of 10.
I will say that MJF really does have the ability to get almost anything over. It is impressive. So now let's move on to match number 2. The ROH and New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight Championship match. Eddie Kingston versus Shibata. Now, both these titles are Eddie's titles. Shibata has the pure title for Ring of Honor. But yeah, I expected a really good match because I like these two a lot. But again, it's unfortunate to say what I'm about to say here. This felt like a bit of a chore to sit through. And if anything, if I'm going based off the main show, this might have to be worst match of the night. Not to say that it was a bad match, but compared to what I thought we were going to get, it just felt kind of boring. And, I will admit, it was physical. They hit each other hard, and they did connect some nice moves. But it just felt like something in the air was missing. Even the crowd didn't really seem all that connected to the match. And almost every single match on the show had like a domino stretch submission to honor Antonio Inoki. So that was something. And, some people could probably get annoyed by that and see that as an oversaturated thing throughout the night. But honestly, I didn't mind it. Overall, though, I'm going to give this match a 6 out of 10. Eddie Kingston wins with the Kawada bomb. And yeah, overall, it was just what it was.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was actually expecting way more from this match, but it kind of disappointed a little bit. But it's still fun. The tributes to Inoki for the whole entire Wrestle Dream, the Octopus stretch. It makes sense. That's what he used before, so it makes sense. So it was not a bad match too, but it was not the best match of the night, definitely. And it was not it was I think the match had some fun moments too. So I give this a 6.5.
And like I said, Daniel pretty much summarized good because like literally it wasn't bad, but honestly, it I gotta be honest here, like I'm not really the biggest fan of Eddie Kingston right now because his wrestling style is just so like it's just too damn boring. It's kind of basic. I mean, I like his promos and all that, but this wasn't a good showcase. And if I'm being quite honest, with these two past like ROH championship defenses he's had, even the one with Claudio, I just wasn't feeling it. Maybe it's just Eddie I don't like, but it was just a boring ass match for me.
You know,
It almost put me to
I
sleep, to be honest.
actually have a good thing to
Boring.
say about that.
Yo.
So I don't know if you ever really thought about this, Chris,
Mhm.
but there are certain wrestlers, and maybe Berman will agree with me here, maybe not. There are certain wrestlers where they're more interesting as the person chasing the title
Yeah.
rather than the person having the title. You know who a great example of that is?
Who?
Hangman Adam Page. And I know what you're about to think. He's a great wrestler. He's had some great stuff to do, but logically, the most interesting the dude ever was in his career was his chase to the AEW title, was it not?
Yep. I can give you that.
And then when he got the title, sure, you could argue it was still good, it was still interesting, but there wasn't that same drive anymore, that same hunger, that same need to accomplish what needs to be accomplished. And then, yeah, Hangman lost the title, and since then, new blood has arrived, like Swerve and others who have kind of rised up on the card. Jay White is going to be a big example of that. Many people are rising right now. So, at the end of the day, when you think about Hangman Page, he was the most interesting as the chaser rather than as the champion. And that's the thing I'm kind of thinking about with Eddie Kingston right now. You know, when you think about his story with Claudio and everything going into it, it was also interesting. And now he has these titles. It's like, now what? What is there? What drive is there? So that's the thing. Maybe that's the question we as viewers have to ask ourselves. Is Eddie Kingston one of those wrestlers who's meant to be the chaser and not the champion?
Which I
I
fully.
do agree with you, Danny, too.
Oh, sorry. You go ahead, Berman.
I say I do agree with you. I feel like, to me, I think Eddie is better as a chaser than a title holder. I just feel it's something weird about him. And there's a lot of people who I think is the same thing, and I think it's a very in. It's pretty much in every company. It's kind of like that. This and right now, I think Eddie is the better as a chaser than a holder. I could see it completely. And you can see it from all his matches that I feel like once he has that title, he's like, "Oh, I have it. Now what?" It's
And
it's not. He looks like not happy. He doesn't look happy. He just looks always angry or just dissatisfied of being this way. It's to me it just looks a little off to me.
right,
So I agree with Danny with this whole thing.
it's like you got the title. What's there to really be pissed off about now?
Not there. Maybe he doesn't like the color of it. Maybe that's his
And
background story.
people might get really pissed off at who I'm about to use as an example for this. Becky Lynch, when she became the man and had her big rise in 2018 that led to her winning the Royal Rumble in 2019 and then the titles at Mania 35, even almost 5 years later, that's still the biggest point of Becky's entire career.
Yeah, it's actually very true.
So, again, that's something to think about. There's no shame in people being better off as the chaser than as the champion. There's no shame in it. Eddie might just be one of those guys. So, yeah, that's all we're going to leave it at for that. Now we're going to move on to the next match. Match number 3. That would be TBS Championship match. The consistent Chris Statlander versus Julia Hart. Now, I used to point at Jamie Hayter as the in-ring performer to kind of carry the roster to their best matches. But while Jamie's away, it looks like Chris is taking that role for right now. She gave Ruby her best match in AEW. She gave Chris Statlander. No, she gave Jade Cargill, the only good match Jade Cargill has ever had in her entire career. Sorry, Jade Cargill fans, or I should say shills, who are all of a sudden saying she's good. Yeah, bullshit. But anyways, Chris Statlander has elevated people to their best. And Julia Hart is another person where she just gave Julia Hart her best match of her career so far. I thought this was a very, very good match. And I'm just really enjoying this Chris Statlander title reign. If anything, I'm just so grateful that the belt is on someone that I believe can actually wrestle. I'm not afraid to bury Jade with that. I'm really not. Because I do genuinely think all these people online hyping up Jade as the next big thing. Like, yeah, she has the look, she has the promo, but have y'all seen her in the ring? Have y'all forgotten? But regardless, this is about a new champ. This is about the rightful champ. This is about Chris Statlander. I'm enjoying her title reign. And I really enjoyed this match. I'm giving this an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, this was actually a very fun match. I had a lot of fun with it. They showed to me. I felt like this was actually going to be I say a squash, like half squash, half non. But like, it actually turned out to be a very fun match. I really wanted Julia Hart to win because I felt like she had a momentum a lot to do it, but she didn't. But I think it ended well, that showing that Julia Hart can be a champion one day. That she got a great match with Chris Statlander. I think it shows a lot that Chris Statlander can do the best work on AEW roster on the women's side. So I'm gonna give this. It was a fun match. I really like it. 7.5 for me.
And what I really like too, looking at Chris Stanley, they're also pushing Julia Hart too, because I think outside of this match, she's only lost maybe twice, and she's a really damn good wrestler. It's unfortunate she lost, but hey, if they build up like this feud more often, maybe she'll get another shot, because I do want a rematch, and this match was hella fun, so I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
All right. Now, move on. Match number 4. Number 1 contenders match. Young Bucks versus Lucha Bros versus the Guns versus Orange Hook. Now, I want to be a bit comedic here. Let's have some fun before we talk about this match. Go all in depth on it. I actually told Berman, right next to me in the theater, I'm realistically cool with any of these teams winning, except for the Young Bucks. And then the Young Bucks won. My luck. But this is the crazy part. I'm not the only one actually mad about the Young Bucks winning for once. What? Yeah, that's kind of unbelievable. But people actually believe the win would have been better off to any of the other 3 teams, just like I did. And people don't want to see Young Bucks versus FTR again. Again, it's just bad. And even then, people were already kind of mad even before the FTR Aussie match, because people like how people have said, it's the Young Bucks taking yet another opportunity. And especially when you look at the fact that one of the Jacksons had a title match for the international title. They're the ROH Trios champs. And now they're getting a tag team title shot. And people wonder why they're hated and don't get their flowers, as people claim. People wonder. But anyways, this match was fun. It was good. There were a lot of great moments. The Guns were actually probably the MVPs of this match, surprisingly so, because you had one of the Guns trying to pin the other to try to win the match. That was a fun moment. Phoenix was taken out of the match early, which actually kind of damaged the match for me quite a bit, as it was just Penta fighting by himself and it felt awkward. Hook and his suplex, you know, I guess he was having to face off with Matt Jackson with the suplexes. I thought that was pretty cool. That was probably another great moment. But yeah, Young Bucks get the win. I was kind of like, are you serious? As soon as it happened, because again, I know the Young Bucks are from LA. Full Gear's in LA, their hometown. We already know where this is going. I think it's lame. Overall, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I do agree with Danny because I really did not want to see Young Bucks. The main team I wanted to win, the Guns. The Guns, I feel like could be champions right now because I think people like them, dislike them at the same time because I feel like they are growing so much from the Bullet Club Gold theme right now. So I was pissed off that, or I was annoyed, pissed off that Young Bucks won. I didn't like that happening. So, but I would still say it was a very fun match. I had a lot of fun with the oldie tricks and stuff with Hook and one of the brothers of Bucks. Really funny, and it was a very good match to watch. So I'd give this a 7.5.
Same here. It was entertaining. I was kind of rooting for Orange Hook to actually take the win, but I'm not gonna hate on the Young Bucks. I think I know you're gonna hate them, Daniel, but I think we got to build them a little bit more credibility. Maybe they just become tag team champions for just maybe like one pay-per-view and they just drop it immediately. Hopefully, that's what
Here's
they
my
do.
question, though, right?
Yeah.
Who?
Anyone else?
Like, if they win the belts, right, just to drop it, basically pull the same shit they did with Swerve in Their Glory.
Yeah.
Who this time?
They could probably do it.
Well, House of Black.
That could work. Maybe two of the members.
Malachi and Brody, or Brody and Buddy?
Yeah.
Yeah, they could. That would be probably a good one. Or the Guns. I still feel like the Guns have that possibility.
You know, it's not a bad idea to have Brody and Buddy go for the tag and then have Malachi go for the international. That's not a bad idea.
Or if not, maybe you could possibly.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ideas. They can push at this moment of time.
Yeah, I'm just, you know me. I'm not a fan of the Young Bucks, so I'm not looking forward to them holding those belts again.
It's probably
And
going to be long.
we already know FTR. You know, if people have already seen the pay per view, we can say it. They're gonna be fighting FTR next month, and we just saw that match at All In, so it doesn't feel fresh in the slightest. And knowing that FTR has won twice in the series and Young Bucks have won once, we all know that they're gonna win the second time, so they're even in the series. Like that, that element makes the match even more predictable. Like it's in their hometown, they're one behind in the series. Like this couldn't be more blatantly obvious if I don't know if there was a flashing light in my eye. Like that, like this is so blatant.
Would it make it better if it was under a special condition?
Like what?
I don't know, like Extreme Rules or a ladder match.
Like a stipulation. I feel like they're gonna have to do a stipulation to make this interesting. Like at the very least, because it's like we just saw this match last month.
Make it a dog collar
match.
match.
They could do that if they wanted to, like a tribute to Briscoe.
Young Bucks in a dog collar match would be something for me. I can't deny that.
Or they could do a TLC type of match.
TLC would be pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully they make it somewhat fresh and it's not just a normal 2-on-2 match. That would be kind of lame.
Yeah.
So we'll move on into the next match, which would be Swerve Strickland versus Adam Page. I was talking about Adam Page just now, and he's losing to one of the fresh faces I was referring to, Swerve Strickland. Yeah, it looks like things are only going to get harder and harder for Adam Page to get back on top in this company. And like, it's almost to the point where I'll be surprised if Hangman does get himself over again to get a second title reign. Like, it's not like he's not over, because he is over, right? He has his fan base. I'm one of his fans. But it's going to be very hard for him to climb back up to the mountaintop, I feel. So yeah, hopefully he gets that figured out. But yeah, Swerve, his time is now indeed. He beat Hangman Adam Page, and he got his GOAT of a manager with him in Prince Nana. So yeah, it was just very high action packed. The Seattle crowd were rooting for Swerve, so the crowd was cheering for the heel and booing the babyface. So that made the match more interesting. And you even had Adam Page kind of play into the boos, so it kind of felt like we were watching a bit of that ROH Adam Page. So yeah, overall, I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10. It was honestly an awesome match.
Yeah, this was definitely very one of those matches that are really great on this match card. There was a lot of fun. There was so many great moments in this match, like stomps on the aprons, on the let's say in the ring. Like there's so many different things that makes this match amazing. That was very fun. Not it's great and it shows that Swerve Strickland can be a world champion or a singles champion, but I say mainly a world champion than anything else. This shows a lot, and I like that they show this. So this is very fun for me. It was very fun for me. I give this a 9.
Same here, and I'm so glad that Swerve Strickland won because I thought for a hot second he was gonna lose. But shout out to Prince Nana for being the real MVP, and it's cool seeing that Swerve got that huge win over Adam Page, and I'm sure they're gonna do a trilogy. So this will keep Adam Page, storyline a little bit fresh, and hopefully Swerve can win the trilogy and move on to his next opponent, or maybe even get a shot for a title soon. That's what I'm hoping for at least. But I really enjoyed this match. I give it a 9 out of 10.
Well, he does have a number one contenders match for the TNT title this Tuesday against Bryan Danielson.
I really hope he wins that. I really do.
Christian versus Swerve. That's a match.
But they won't do heel versus heel because they're cowards. There always has to be a fucking good guy versus a bad guy. It's so
So you know
stupid in
Bryan's winning this
wrestling.
shit.
I know he is. And it's stupid. You can have villains versus villains. They do that shit all the time in TV and other forms of media.
Sometimes, man.
Nah, man.
Sometimes.
I'm tired of that shit. It's such a stupid trope.
Well, now let's move on to the next match. Ricky Starks versus Wheeler Yuta. This was easily the bathroom break match of the show, as it was like less than 10 minutes. It was a bit back and forth, but Ricky Starks pretty much dominated, and he got the win. It was fine. It was decent, I guess. Overall, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. But I'm going to say this right now, and then Berman and Chris can talk about it. Reports came out this week that there is a 75% chance Ricky Starks is leaving AEW for WWE. So his contract, I believe, expires in January. And yeah, he's pretty much done. And, after the report came out a bit after WrestleDream, and after like seeing how he was at WrestleDream, he kind of just really got in and got out, So I could just kind of feel it in the air. Yeah, he's going to WWE. Overall, I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. Overall, I'm just going to say wherever Ricky goes, I just hope he's a main event player because that's what he deserves.
Yeah, there is. I do agree with that. I kind of felt something off about this match. That Ricky's attitude. Like it felt like he really was just trying to get this match finished with, and really didn't care about the result or anything. He just wanted to get done, get rid of it, pretty much, and kind of get rid of the company. I feel like. So I just felt something off about this too. So if it is true, Ricky Starks goes to the main to Raw or SmackDown. I think that's perfectly fine. I think that it can show that he can be a champion. He can be a United States champion if he wanted to. He can have so many big matches that people would like, people would love. That's something that a lot of people would conceive about Ricky Starks. For this match, definitely a bathroom break match. Nothing special. I'm going to give this a 5.
Honestly, oh wait, what?
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say another thing. I think that might be encouraging Ricky was the fact that if you go through the history, the guy who scouted out for Ricky was Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes found Ricky and that's how Ricky got into AEW. And then Cody left, and then obviously he had a few moments of glory, right, where he became number one contender just to lose to MJF. He beat Jericho twice, not to really go anywhere with that momentum. But then Collision happened with CM Punk, and you notice how he was in a title feud with CM Punk. So you could also see it through clips, through interviews, all that stuff. Just like FTR, he's a CM Punk guy. So with Punk also probably going to WWE, both Cody and Punk in WWE, his two guys, what on earth is going to make him stay in AEW then?
Absolutely
No,
nothing.
so maybe winning a title, maybe winning the world title.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe his mind at this point is stuck on the WWE Undisputed Universal title.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But for the match, honestly, I think the only memorable thing was just John Moxley in the commentary. That's all I really gotta say. Because the next match is goddamn perfection.
Yeah, and thoughts on Ricky most likely leaving?
He is. Because honestly, at this rate, he's not going to dethrone MJF for like not a hot minute. Because who knows who's after the Jay White feud. So if he goes to WWE, I hope to God he's like not a mid Carter, as he's kind of be treated in AEW. So hopefully they can take him more seriously. But I don't know. I'm kind of curious how they're going to actually book him if he decides to go over there or get signed.
I agree. I feel like I'm actually confident in them booking Ricky Starks for some reason. Something in the air tells me they're going to like Ricky Starks because I could see it kind of being an LA Knight thing where maybe they kind of, book him in that mid card, lower card position at first. But then Ricky, since he's so goddamn good, he's going to get himself over and he's going to be undeniable.
That's true.
So
yeah, sounds interesting.
that's where I think that's going to go. That's how I think Ricky's time in WWE is going to go. I think he's just going to be kind of like a Daniel Bryan push where he just is undeniable. I don't think he'll ever get that huge, but you know what I mean. I just think he's going to become so over that he can't get rejected. And that kind of already happened here in AEW, if you think about it. But there's something clearly stopping Tony from going all the way in on Ricky Starks. And Lord knows what that is. So now let's move on to the next match. Easily what I'd call one of the best matches of the year. You could easily debate between Melo Ilya 2 or this match. You got two match of the weekends right here. And yeah, Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. Holy shit, man. This is just peak technical wrestling. And I just loved every single moment about this match. And they basically proved through this match how and why they are arguably the two best technical wrestlers in the world. So overall, I'm giving this an easy 10 out of 10. And again, you all know we will have a best matches of the year list. And I think it's a pretty safe bet to say this is going to be in that list.
Yeah, it's undeniable. This was the best match of the night, best match of the year. I would say too. It was the best masterpiece of two technicians of the best in the world. It shows how great these two are, and it's so interesting how it. The match started with Tony Ononoki. He was using the octopus stretches for a good while, then kind of started just focusing, Zack Sabre Jr. focusing on the arm, and and then Bryan Danielson focusing more, I say, on the legs, more, let's say around the legs. So it was very interesting. It shows why I love this type of wrestling myself. There's nothing else I can say that it was just 10 out of 10, and I can't wait to see now Zack Sabre Jr. versus Will Ospreay for the United States title, number one. And number two, a rematch, Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. 2, because they haven't finished it yet. So I think what they should do is a Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. 2 only submission match. That will probably make it definitive who is the best technician in the world.
Honestly, guys, there's not much you can say, dude. It's good. So just 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it's literally that simple, really. Like, it's just that good.
No, because Brian rolled him up for a pin, so it didn't count.
I mean, do you agree with that take?
Oh,
Do you agree with Zack Sabre and Nigel McGuinness for being like, AA, you're supposed to win with a submission. We are technicians out here, not a strike. What's your opinion on that stuff?
No, I'm fully agree with it, dude. I'm glad they're gonna do a rematch. So hopefully, like Berman would say, there's like a stipulation between these two, just purely technical or shit. It would have been cool seeing them do like the ROH like rules too, but I know that ain't happening. Or they could do something like that, or I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, we'll have to figure that out. But yeah. So now we move on to the Golden Lovers and Chris Jericho versus the Don Callis family. This was a great tag match, you know. I didn't feel like it was anything too special or crazy in comparison to some of the other pay-per-view matches Omega and Ospreay in particular have had this year. But this is a great addition to what they've had throughout the year. And a lot of people are arguing who the best wrestler of this year is. And really, it's come down to 5 people: Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega, MJF, Gunther, and Bryan Danielson. And logically, that probably is the top 5 this year in terms of who's had the best years and who's had the best match rate this year. That probably is the top 5. And maybe you could throw names like Ilya, Darby, and Orange right behind. So I will say this. When you get 2 wrestlers and a lot of their matches on pay-per-views a 9.5 or a 10, it just feels kind of weird to come across matches like this where it's like, you know, it's a great match, but you know how crazy these guys can wrestle sometimes. But yeah, just an enjoyable match. The ending was okay. It wasn't I don't know how I felt about the ending at first, but it was fine. It felt a little premature, admittedly. But yeah, overall, I'm going to give this an 8.5 out of 10. And yeah, back to that whole best wrestler of the year conversation. Who is my best wrestler of 2023? That easily is Will Ospreay, and number 2 is very, very far behind. But that's just me.
Yeah, I would say the exact same thing too. That probably my favorite best wrestler of this year is Will Ospreay. No doubts to me. There's no doubts in the world. I feel like that's the case too. The match actually was very fun too. Um, it was crazy, but I was expecting actually the Golden Lovers, Chris Jericho, to win, surprisingly enough, but actually did not. And at the end, it was actually freaking the Don Callis, which I was actually perfectly fine with. I think I was happy to see that. So yeah, I give this an 8.5, and I would 100% say too that the best wrestler in the world right now will be Will Ospreay.
Insane, bro. Because Will Ospreay's delivered bangers. Shit, he even gave Chris Jericho one of his best matches for this whole year, and we all thought that was gonna suck, but it delivered. And as for the winners of this match, I'm glad it's the Don Callis family because they're really building up these young guys, and they need to start doing that. Because obviously, I like Kenny in the Golden Lovers; it's great and all, but you know, Coda still needs to like freshen up his in-ring skills because he's a bit ring rusty, and you know, Kenny is probably gonna go part-time soonish, maybe like a year or two. So they need to build more superstars, and I'm glad the Don Callis family is becoming more of a threat. And eventually, when the Elite fight them for the next pay-per-view, that shit is gonna be fucking amazing. So this match itself, it's fun. 8.5 out of 10.
Another thing I would love to mention here is that when it comes down to what you said here, yeah, when you think about the Golden Lovers and Chris Jericho, they've had their time on top. They have their legacies. But guys like Ospreay, Konosuke, sure, they've been around the top, arguably maybe even close to the top, but they have never been the numero uno at a certain period of time. And they're forming their legacies and they're trying to become that. So I do agree. I do agree. Now, let's move on to the next match for the AEW Tag Team Championships. FTR versus Aussie Open. So this is what happens when you're in hour 5 of a 5-hour long pay-per-view. The crowd was dead as hell for this match. They were really dead. And it was very unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good match. But I feel like you're going to be a bit underwhelmed here if you watch their first match, which was excellent. The second match just didn't really compare to that as much, in my opinion. Still pretty good, just definitely not as good. And if the crowd were alive for it, I would have given this a higher rating. Originally, I had an 8 out of 10 written down, but the more and more I think about it, I'm probably going to give it a 7.5.
Yeah, there's something that's off about this match too, and I definitely say it's not as good as their last match, but it was still good for the pay per view. It was fun. It had a lot of good moments too. It kind of looked like Ozzy could have won it too from them hitting a Corleola as the finisher. I thought they were gonna win there, but no. And it was really good. Like this top rope shatter machine was great to see. It looks amazing. Just looked like a freaking lawn dart shatter machine, pretty much. But I think it was very great. I think it was actually pretty fun. I think I'm gonna keep my rating for myself too. I'm gonna give this an 8. I actually really did like it. Not as good as their last one, but it's still pretty good.
Same here, because honestly, the first match, it's just perfection. It's kind of funny too, because I don't know if it's just like an FTR thing, because even when they had their second match with the Briscoes, that match completely sucked. So if they ever do go again, maybe the third time will be probably the greatest one out of the 3. But it wasn't bad. But again, the first match is absolutely excellent, and this is not to discredit this match because it was also good, but it was just kind of like missing something. It just seemed kind of, what do you call it, generic, but like it was good though on its own, so I'll just give it a 8 too. Or actually, no, just give it a 7. I'll reserve the 8 for something else.
For sure. So, now this main event. The 2 out of 3 falls match for the TNT Championship. Christian Cage versus Darby Allin. This has been a very entertaining feud, and they have earned a main event for a pay-per-view. So, I'm glad this got to happen. And Darby and Christian are both very creative guys, in my opinion, when it comes to just the way they tell stories and do things. So, in retrospect, it shouldn't be surprising that they pulled off a match this excellent and a main event this worthy of being a main event for a pay per view. You had Christian rolled up very fast in the early going. Whenever not Christian, when Darby got Christian's turtleneck, he pulled up his turtleneck so Christian couldn't see, then rolled him up 1, 2, 3. Very unique and clever way to get a fall. And, it instantly put pressure on Christian, where it's like, shit, Christian has to get 2 falls in a row now. But Christian, being the slimy little heel that he was, doesn't even care if has to do it by countout, which he did. He broke Darby's arm by slamming him on the steel steps to win by countout. And while doctors were going to stretch your Darby away, he was like, no, fuck this. I'm ending this match on my terms, not the doctors, and decided to go to the top rope and hit a frog splash on top of the stretcher. And yeah, this resulted in a crazy ass third fall with the ring is exposed, by the way. So Christian hits his finisher, Darby kicks out, then Darby hits his finisher, Christian kicks out, and the match is just crazy. But then you have Nick Wayne get involved, and he betrayed Darby Allin, which isn't so surprising due to the fact that he forgave AR Fox, someone who invaded Nick Wayne's home and beat him to a bloody pulp. And yeah, Christian is a manipulator, and he successfully got to Nick Wayne. And if we never see Jack Perry again, I think Nick Wayne is a very good replacement for Jack Perry. So wonderful. Overall, I'm going to give this a 9.5 out of 10. We already talked about Edge debuting. That's what happens after this. And, Christian, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne were going to beat up Sting, hit a concerto on Sting, but Edge wasn't going to let that happen. And he's known as his real life name in AEW, Adam Copeland. But you might hear me call him Adam Copeland sometimes, but I am very comfortable with calling him Edge, to be fair, since I have called him that for his entire career. But I am going to do everything in my power to adjust to the Adam Copeland name, because even Adam said himself on the Dynamite promo, it's nice to hear people chant his real name instead of some stage name he had for 20 plus years. So, yeah, Adam Copeland is all elite, and I'm very happy to say that. Overall, this is a 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah, this was a fantastic main event. It was not a 10 out of 10, but it was definitely second best match of the night. It had so many crazy things happen that I don't think anyone would expect. It was the most unpredictable main event right here. It was so much fun. It was chaotic. It was hardcore. It was just there was nothing else I could say than what Danny just said. And seeing Adam Copeland come back and not come back, but make a debut, kind of saving Darby Allin. It shows that it made that made the pay per view so much better. May just made it so much more interesting. There's nothing else I can say that this is definitely a 9.5. It's so much fun to watch. This is definitely a good main event to end the show off.
Literally, it was probably one of my favorite hardcore matches. It's gonna be weird not calling him Edge, but I'll adjust to it if that's what he wants. So it was cool. It was a good character development for Christian Cage, and I can't wait to see what he does with Adam Copeland in the future. So excellent match, great way to end a pay per view, and a new way to start a legacy for AEW. So I'll give it a 9.5.
Yep. And Tony Khan, you know how he kind of BS's in his advertising sometimes? But he did say this was the start of a new era. He wasn't lying, people. For one of the few times he wasn't lying, it actually is a big deal. It's the rated R era. So yeah, it's pretty hype. Overall, though, I was going to give the pay per view an 8, but then when Edge decided to make his debut, when Adam Copeland decided to make his debut, I decided, you know what? Give this son of a bitch an 8.5. It earned the extra half point. Why not?
Yeah, and I'll give this. I'm gonna give the same thing to me. It was a great pay per view and Adam Copeland just made it way better. It is an 8.5.
Same here, and happens as well. Blech.
All right, so we will be back next month, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, to be completely honest with y'all, we enjoy doing this. We always do. But I don't know. We might have to freshen things up. And trust me, people, if you all stay tuned, it'll be worth the ride. So that's all I'm going to leave it at. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been Daniel.
I've been Berman.
Let me, Chris.
And we'll see you all in the next one. Take it easy.